another edition of the Wrestling Pulse. I am J-Man. Obviously, as you can tell by the title, I'll be giving you guys our NXT TakeOver Respect preview. Just getting this quick video out for you. Wasn't able to get anybody else for it. Just go ahead and get this shit out to you. The Respect show coming this Wednesday on the WWE Network, back in the regular Wednesday time slot instead of the Saturdays. They had the Saturday show for the July 4th show in Japan, and they had the Saturday show for the Brooklyn show before SummerSlam, but back in the regular TakeOver and regular NXT time slot on Wednesdays. Interesting little show here. Doesn't really seem too overly dramatic as far as build and everything is going. Obviously, a great main event set up here. Very intrigued to see what comes out of that. And obviously, the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, which has kind of been the secondary built thing for this show and NXT in general. I'm going to get this show kicked off for you. We have the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Semifinal 1 here. We have Jason Jordan and Chad Gable going up against Rhino and Baron Corbin. As I've told you guys in the past, love Jordan and Gable. They're just great. As far as the comedic, sarcastic, kind of just not too dickish, but dickish, and just really fucking funny and shit. It's just funny shit and entertaining. It's kind of like a tame version of New Day is basically what it is. So they have the same sarcasm, but they're just and comedic side to them, but they're just not as ridiculous and fucking over the top, obviously as the New Day are. But just love everything about them. Chad Gable is entertaining as hell, and they have that side to them, the kind of comedic side to them. But when they get in the ring, they're legit. Obviously, the amateur background speaks for itself with both of them. Chad Gable, a former Olympic competitor in the Olympics. I don't need to see an Olympic competitor in the Olympics. No shit. But yeah, when they get in the ring, it's legit. And I love the kind of new version-y of like World's Greatest Tag Team. It really has that feel to it with the kind of comedic side to their promos and their character and their gimmick. But when they get in there, they work great together. They look great together. And it just works. And they have legit chemistry. And they're two guys that try to do things on their own. It just didn't work. Same as, obviously Shelton Benjamin had a pretty decent run in the mid-card for like IC titles and stuff. But when they're together, it just works the best. And that's the same here with Jordan and Gable. Love everything about them. Rhino and Corbin, I could give two shits about them. Baron Corbin, I've spoken before. Who gives a shit? And Rhino is a guy. They just bring in for the name. Obviously, they did it with a Brian Kendrick before, which I'd rather see a Kendrick in there than a Rhino. Obviously, what a Brian Kendrick can do with a lot of these young guys, young talent. But Rhino, just a name. He's in there. Oh, he's in there with Rhino. I know who Rhino is. Blah, blah, blah. But Corbin, yeah, he's a piece of shit. I'm going to go with Jordan Gable getting the win here. Don't look for really anything as far as time-wise goes with both of these semifinals. They'll probably just get in there and get the job done. Regular type of, weekly show on an NXT you'd see time-wise for both of these matchups, I would think. But I'm going to go with Jason Jordan and Chad Gable getting the win in the first semifinal. Second semifinal, we have Samoa Joe and the NXT champion Finn Balor going up against the Mechanics, Dash and Dawson. I like Dash and Dawson. As far as being kind of in the middle of like the tag division, I just think they work well together. They kind of got that old schoolish vibe, just don't take shit from anybody type of thing, with kind of a new flair to them. I love their finish. The little pop-up code breaker thing they do is great. And they just have legit chemistry and they look right together. I just think it works. And as far as they're just that old school vibe to them, I enjoy because I think that's needed in really any tag division. I'm obviously a fan of more the new school way things of going, the Red Dragons and the Young Bucks and the way that those kind of do, things, or those kind of teams do things. And obviously, who revolutionized the tag division in the early 2000s, like the Hardys and obviously Edge and Christian, my favorite tag team of all time. Obviously more fan of the new school era of that, but I think a kind of dash, I guess I can't really say that, it's kind of pun intended, of an old school flair to the tag division is a good thing. I think obviously, on the main roster, adding in the Dudleys and the legitimacy that they have in any tag division that they're in, obviously the most prestigious, tag team champions probably of all time. Getting back in there and working with guys like the New Day and the Ascension and blah blah blah, Lucha Dragons and primetime players. I think it just that kind of old schoolish flair that they have to bring in there. I think it's a good part to any tag division. Joe and Baylor, obviously the two most notable names in NXT, and putting them together here for this tournament, I'm fine with that. It's whatever. It's obviously going to be a thing to set up things to come. I'll get to that here in a bit. But I'm going to go with Joe and Baylor getting the win in this matchup here. Again, I think this will probably be the best out of the two semifinals. But again, probably won't get too much time. I'm going to go with Joe and Baylor getting the win there. Next matchup, we have one of two women's matches on the show. We have Dana Brooke going up against Asuka. I think that's how you say, or Asuka or Uzuka. I don't even fucking know. I think it's Asuka. Yeah, Dana Brooke, she's just trailer park trash. She looks horrible. She's just whatever in the ring. But Asuka, obviously, Kana, formerly in Japan. I have not seen anything from her in the past. I spoke with Ryan. He basically said she's like a women's version of Kenta. So, yeah, I can't get really anything bad out of that. So that should be, great, obviously, to see that. We saw a little footage this past week on NXT of the things she's done in the past. Looks fucking awesome. If it's anything like that, that's just an amazing asset to the women's division, and just adds some legit badass legitimacy to women's wrestling in WWE. And I think that's something that is drastically needed, because I think a lot of people look at, especially the Divas division, I wouldn't say in NXT, but the Divas division, as just being frilly, blah blah blah, little girls out there. There's a couple that you could say, the Natalias, and when Paige kind of turns it up a bit, and Charlotte, obviously, with her tie to her dad, and Ric Flair, obviously. But having just a legit, just badass in the division is great, and having the one be like the one kind of part, and not having like a fucking bunch of them where it's just you can't make it special, but you have one person that is in that division that's like, okay, that's the badass. I think this is a perfect, utilization of Asuka, Kana, formerly, in this division, and in the future, when she makes it to the main roster. Obviously, somebody that could have been in this role would have been a Sarah Del Rey if she would have ever been used in the ring, but used obviously more behind the scenes, training, which is great. Everything that's produced, out of NXT and moved on to the main roster has just been great, and really ever since Sarah Del Rey has been there, it's been like that. Wonder why. She is one of the best women's wrestlers ever. And it would have been awesome to see her in the ring, but it's great to see her, training up, the next generation as far as everything is going on now, and the generation now, obviously with the Sashas and the Paiges and all the names, the Baileys, obviously. So it's great to see that. But as far as just a badass to be in that division, Asuka will play it perfectly. And I love that. She's going to go ahead and destroy Dana Brooke in this matchup here. I hope Dana gets literally no offense in this match, and it's just Asuka just showing what she can do. And I'm extremely intrigued to see what she's going to do here, because obviously coming from Japan, women in Japan don't take bullshit. They literally wrestle the same, a lot of them like on the indies, wrestle legit just like all the males do. So there's no frilly fucking around here. So I think that asset and that kind of injection to the women's division is going to be huge, and it's going to be huge, into the future too. So great to see Asuka in here and getting thrown right in there on this Respect show. And I look for her to get a easy win over Dana Brooke and pretty much a glorified squash. Next matchup, we have Apollo Crews going up against Tyler Breeze. Tyler Breeze just kind of rolling along, just whatever. I mean, he was a guy that had a lot of flash, and it was just every time we see him now, and me and Ryan say the same thing, it just seems just stale. His entire gimmick is just stale. It's just, you look at him and you're like, John Morrison ripoff, with Dolph Ziggler and fucking Zoolander. It's just, it's very cheesy. It's just very ABC as far as characters go. It's like anything from 2005 to fucking 2008. I mean, it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth, because it's just whatever. I think he's a talented guy in the ring. I know there was a guy that commented on the last TakeOver show that I did the preview for that thought I was just shitting all over Breeze. I think he's okay in the ring. There's a guy saying he's comparable to Dolph Ziggler. I know he's not. He would just be a good asset in the mid card. The character just leaves a hell of a lot more to be desired because we've seen it before. It's just so whatever, you know. He's the fucking model guy that he thinks he's the best looking, blah blah blah, what the fuck ever. But yeah, he's okay in the ring, and yeah, it is what it is there. Apollo Crews would like to see a hell of a lot more because another ABC type character. Apollo Crews is a hella talented guy who came in with a lot of buzz, obviously working a lot in PWG and the Indies and stuff like that, who has an amazing physique, who has amazing athleticism, and showed the promise of great charisma and a possible character. But unfortunately, and it's not his fault, it's just pretty much what he's got to deal with. He's just in there as just the blah, hey, look at me, I'm happy-go-lucky Apollo Crews, like me. Unfortunately, not a lot of people in today's day and age is going to buy that shit unless you're, you know, he's basically living off the reputation of being an indie guy and getting over with that. You have to come up with something. Dana Bryan had the same thing when he came in. He was the happy-go-lucky, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I'm Bryan Danielson, remember me? That shit doesn't work. CM Punk, the same way. A little, you know, darker and edgier look to Punk, but he's same fucking way. Hey, I'm straight edge, like me, type of thing. And it's just when they let let them off their chains and shit and let them do be who they really are and not just be a cut, pasted little WWE version of who they are. Then it's, you know, they move on to great things. Obviously, what Punk and what Dana Bryan ended up doing. They move on to great things once they just let them be themselves and let them do what the fucking shit, what they want to do. But Apollo Crews seems like a guy who might need to get geared towards a character. To me, I just think he should have came in as a hard-ass fucking heel that just was a fucking badass and almost anti what he basically came in as, which is a 2015 version of when Bobby Lashley debuted with WWE, because it's the exact same thing that Bobby Lashley did. Bobby Lashley did pretty much the exact same thing his entire run in WWE. He was just hey, I'm a really athletic guy, I'm going to try really hard, and look how good I look, and bleh. Apollo Crews doing the exact same thing. I would have liked to see him come in just a fucking hard ass and just be like, you think you're going to stop this type of shit? Almost like a new version of a cocky young Brock Lesnar, I guess. Almost like a Brock Lesnar when he came in. The heel, but he would do more of the talking. Obviously, we haven't seen a lot of Apollo Crews talking, which I would assume is probably not that great. But I don't know. I just think that would have worked a little bit better. But knowing his background as far as the Indies go, they go with the face route. But hopefully he'll get something, you know, that would end up getting on the straight and narrow and find a character that'll work, because he is a talented guy and he has a lot of promise and has a lot of potential in the future. I'm going to go with Crews getting the win in this matchup here. This could be okay. It is what it is with this. I mean, I just don't think anything great's going to come out of it. It'll probably just be an all-right matchup here, and I look for Crews getting the win. Next up, we would have the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Final. In my final, I have Samoa Joe and Finn Balor going up against Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. There's a lot of different ways they could do it. In my opinion, to me, this pretty much entire tournament, besides being something that they can move on to the future, but the angle behind this entire tournament has been the combination of Samoa Joe and Finn Balor tagging together. Because to me, you would expect to see a Finn Balor title match on, you know, a TakeOver show. He was in the main event of the last TakeOver show in a ladder match with Kevin Owens for the title. You know, we've always seen the NXT title on the line. It's always been the focus point. It's not the focus point on this show. The Women's Championship is the focus point, which is great, obviously. But we don't have, you know, a championship match on this show. So obviously it's going to be something to set up in the future. To me, it's going to revolve around a Samoa Joe heel turn and eventual feud with Balor going on for the championship. To me, you have to do this. You can't have these two huge names on the roster right now, by far the biggest names on the roster. Without Sami Zayn there, Kevin Owens is gone. These guys are it, and it's by far. You can't have them both be, you know, face just on the same team, blah, 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 and then move on their out their ways, and then, well, maybe he'll feud there, feud. No. You go ahead and fucking turn Samoa Joe. He's kind of just been floating along. Would we like to just see him on the main roster? Yes. But I think, you know, a heel turn here could be great things. I think you could either do it either way. Honestly, they're just kind of both floating along. They don't have like immense, ridiculous crowd reactions anymore. Everybody loves Baylor's entrance. Obviously, Baylor's a fan favorite. Joe is a fan favorite. He's living off the reputation of what he's always done and what he's always been, which is Samoa Joe. So of course he's going to be a fan favorite. But one of the two of these need to fucking switch, and they need to do it immediately because something has to change with as far as the top of the card goes in NXT. Something has to shift. And I think a Samoa Joe heel turn would be the best thing to possibly do here. So I don't know how they come about it. I don't know if Jordan Gable get the win because of a turn, or if Joe and Baylor win this tournament and then a turn happens after. I probably would see the turn happening after and Joe and Baylor getting the win in this. But either way, the outcome of this needs to be something happening in the future for the NXT Championship and with Samoa Joe and Finn Balor. Something has to go down here, and I'm hoping for a Samoa Joe heel turn and eventual feud with Baylor into the future. I think that would be some great stuff. But that should be a quality matchup too, if given the time and the opportunity with Jason Jordan, Chad Gable, and Samoa Joe and Finn Balor. Would be some good stuff there. But hope for that heel turn and set up for something for the NXT title into the future. Oh man, this is going to be a good one. Next up, we have the main event. It is a 30-minute Iron Woman match for the NXT Women's title. We have champion Bayley going up against Sasha Banks. Yeah, man, this is fucking awesome. Obviously, coming off of the TakeOver Brooklyn show with one of, in our eyes, it was the best WWE Women's match of all time. And it's definitely got to be in your top fucking 1 or 2 or 3. For anybody else, I can't think of one conceivably in me and Ryan. Outside of me and Ryan, there's probably no one on this fucking planet that can't think of something else. If we can't think of it, there probably is none. But yeah, this is just great. The continuation of this feud, the story that's going along with it. Bayley, obviously always being told, hey, you can't, you don't have this, you don't have that, you're just too blah, blah, blah. And going in there at that Brooklyn show and having the amazing moment and the amazing match that they had. Obviously the match was outstanding. The moment after with obviously all the 4 horsewomen of WWE in there at the end celebrating and throwing up the 4 and everything, and Bayley with the great moment, one of the best moments of the year as far as WWE goes, at the end of that TakeOver show. Continuing on here, Sasha playing the heel, playing the roll-up, saying she wants, her championship back. She's the boss and all this and that. Sasha's great. She hasn't done much on the main roster as of late, which is upsetting because she is by far one of the most talented women they have on the entire roster. But everything she's done in NXT has just been gold. I look for them to try and top the Brooklyn show. I don't know how the hell they're going to do it. The moment and everything just clicked so well. The crowd, the atmosphere, everything just works so well for that. I don't think they're going to top it, but I think they're going to have one hell of a fucking match, without a doubt. Obviously, being a fucking Iron Woman match, I don't think there's ever been a stipulation like this as far as the women go. We've seen, I think, street fight, cage matches, whatever the case may be. I know Trish and Lita had a lot of these type of, feuds and stuff like that, like Bayley and Sasha are having. But nothing along these lines. I can't think of an Iron Woman, Iron Man, whatever the fuck you want to say, stipulation in a women's match. So this is awesome to see that. I expect to see a lot of falls. WWE just tends to do that, unless it's, the fucking Shawn and Brett match where they didn't have any falls, until the overtime. Lately, or anything as of late, over the past 15 years in Iron Man matches. I know the Rock and Triple H one at Judgment Day 2000 had a fuck ton of falls, and the one with Randy and I don't think the one with Lesnar and Angle had that too many. I think it was like 5 or 6, but I know the Randy and Cena match that they had in 2009 had a shit ton of falls too, and they added anything goes stipulation to that. But yeah, look for this one to probably have a bunch of falls. I just hope they don't have any in the first fucking 5 or 6 minutes. When the match that they had at TakeOver was almost like 20, I think. That's so stupid when they do that. But hopefully they won't get hindered by this stipulation. I don't think they will. Having a 30-minute fucking time on this, it's going to be great. And it's going to be up there with that Brooklyn show. But I just think the moment that they had at the end of that and everything culminating there and the crowd and everything was just so great. But this is going to be outstanding. Look for just some awesome work. These girls are just great. Bayley, who just kind of shot to the moon as far as, you know, expectations go for her. Seeing her efforts and things over the past couple months and realizing that she can pull these type of matches off. We've seen it from Sasha, obviously, but Bayley and the amazing effort that she's been putting in as of late, and Sasha as well. I can't say enough about both of these women and just how great they are. But this should be awesome. I'm going to go with Bayley retaining in this matchup here, and can't wait. It's going to be outstanding. We'll probably have, hopefully, I think Ryan should be over on Wednesday to check this show out with me. We've been kind of doing our, I think we talked about it before, we're doing our little old school wrestling watching on Wednesday nights. It's been a lot of fun. We're till like May of 97. We just finished, I think, like Spring Stampede or some shit, or Slamboree, I think it was. Slamboree, maybe. I don't know. It was pretty terrible, but it's fun to watch. But he should be over, so we should be able to get this review done for you guys. That'll be on Wednesday. So until then, this will now wrap up our NXT TakeOver Respect preview. Be sure to check out our review on Wednesday. And I am J-Man, and thank you for watching another edition of Pro Wrestling Pulse, the Pulse, Professional Wrestling World.